Welcome to the Unstoppable Journey with me, your host, Camille and Moore. I'm so glad you're here. This is the place where we talk all things women. Again, welcome. Hey, it's me again, your host for this unstoppable journey, Camille and Moore. I'm so glad you are here. Again, thank you for joining me in this continued series of unstoppableness. Is that a word? Unstoppableness. If it's not, I just made it up, but I think it is. I think it's a word, y'all. So, as always, you know me, I am just going to dive right in. So, today, I have. Is this the blooper reel, y'all? Am I on? Is this the blooper reel? I want to talk to you about when perfection becomes performance. I can't say that we've all been there. At first, I was going to say, we've all been there, but maybe we haven't. Everybody does not have the same shared experience. But for me, I can only talk about me when it comes to this topic and just some people that I've known and some things that I've seen with my own two eyes. That sometimes perfection definitely becomes performance, and it's just not healthy. And you guys know, what am I about? Us being healthy, every area of our lives. And perfection is just unattainable. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. The only thing that is perfect is God. That's it. That's it, God. God is perfection. And unless you think you are God, you are never, ever going to be perfect. And that's absolutely 100% okay. Sometimes, though, some of us have grown up maybe in environments where perfection was the expectation. You had to do everything, show up in every way that leads and shows that you have it all together and that you're perfect. You present on the outside what you want the world to see. And I've talked about this before. If you are new to me, the podcast is definitely new, but I used to do workshops. And so I've talked about a little bit of this performance aspect of life, prior. But I thought it would be good to share it on the podcast because this is possibly a new audience. And this is one thing that I really, really, really want us as women to be able to overcome and put ourselves out there in a transparent and authentic way. And I don't mean that transparent where you telling all your business. That is not what I'm saying. But the transparency that says, I'm not lying. This is not a facade. This is who I am. So there's a difference in showing up, being your real self, and being transparent to where you're just telling all your business. Because you could be telling all your business and still be performing. So we want to get away from that. We don't want that. We want to be able to live in the reality that sometimes it doesn't always go the way we want it to go. And I am not talking about like a bad haircut. Okay, yes, that's bad. That's bad. We don't want to get a bad haircut. But I am talking about real areas of our life where we feel like, or I should say that we feel less than if we don't get it just right every time. Every single time, like there's no margin for error and there is definitely no room to so-called failed. That is the perfection performance that I am referring to. So, y'all, there I go with my word. I did not make a list of filler words, you guys. Darn it. If you've listened to prior episodes, you already know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to stop saying the word so. Anyway, let's carry on. when I was really my whole life. No, I was going to say when I was in my 20s, but really, like, I felt like this even in my childhood, to be quite honest, that I just always needed to get everything just right. And so that carried over into my adulthood. When I was in my 20s, I was married. I got married young, like right before my 23rd birthday. I got married June 4th and I was turning 23 on June 19th. So basically I was 23, but technically I was 22. And I had two daughters. My first daughter, my husband and I had before we were married. And my second daughter I had after we got married. And I had this picture in my mind of what the perfect wife, the perfect mom would be, and when I didn't live up to those expectations for myself, I would still put on this front like I had, like I was the perfect mom, I was the perfect wife, like I'm achieving such greatness at my house, like it's all together. And really, in a way, it kind of was, to be quite honest. But even when there were times when it really wasn't, and things were falling apart because we went through things. I mean, we've been married forever, so we definitely went through things, in our marriage, with our children as they're growing, becoming teenagers, all that kind of stuff. And I would feel like you got to hold it together. There was no room to fall apart, to break down. One of my cousins, she makes fun of me to this day. Like maybe every 3 years, she might bring this up because I really felt like this, you guys. I'm just being very honest with you. Sometimes my life would be so stressful, and I would tell my cousin, like, because my cousin and my sister, I could always just I could really like lay it out, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things. And I would literally say, like, I feel like I'm having a nervous breakdown, but I don't have time. Like, who schedules a nervous breakdown? Because then you're never going to get it in anyway, because you don't have time for that. And sometimes I would feel so overwhelmed and so inundated with life and all of the things that I needed to achieve to keep up this perfect lifestyle that was, I want to say I created it in my head, but again, part of it was from the way I was raised and the expectations that you carry, especially, from my father's side of the family, with my grandfather being very conservative and his family being very just so. Everything had to be just so. Everything was just so. And then I have the my mom's side of it where everything was just so as well. So I got like two standards to live up to. And you don't want to disappoint people. Well, I mean, I learned later in life that I could, and it'd be perfectly okay. Yeah, perfectly okay with disappointing you today. But then I wasn't. And so I would be like putting all this energy into everything being just right, to the point where I really did at times feel like I was going to have a nervous breakdown, but I just didn't have time. I don't have time to break down. I just don't. And at one point, I went to therapy, and I'm telling my therapist, girl, I ain't got time to be breaking down. Like, I really didn't even cry, if you want to know the truth. Like, I ain't got time to be crying. I ain't got time for none of that, because I gotta live this perfect life, lady. Now, come on, mind your business. Even though I'm here to tell you my business, mind your business. I don't want your pointers. And this for us as women, I think, causes us to continue to add more and more and more on to the facade of perfection. I know, especially in dealing with women, because I've dealt with so many over the years and what I do, and I would hear the stories and that's how I know that it's absolutely 100% on point. What I'm sharing with you, I would hear the stories of the life they were leading outside the door And if you didn't know them intimately, you would really like these some well put together women, like from the outside, hair laid, you know, living what we would consider in the world a successful life, you know, dressing nice, nice homes, you know, some single, some married, some with children, some without children, but by all standards of the world, on the outside, they were living these wonderful projected lives of success and semi perfection. And I say semi because we all know nobody's perfect, again, except God. But when they would share some of these intimate stories with me of what was going on the inside of their house, not their physical homes, the inside of them, their heart, their emotions, their mind, like what was the turmoil that they were experiencing in the midst of the projected life. And this is when I began to kind of see, like in my early 30s, like, wait a minute, hold on. Their story sounds like my story. So I'm not alone in this. There's other women out here believing the lie that we have to do it all right, to get it all done. And that if we don't, it's either not going to get done, it's not going to be right, or it's going to fall apart. That was a big thing for me. And part of that is control, because I want it done just. That was another part of the perfectionism in me, was not being able to relinquish other things to someone else because you're not going to do it right. You're not going to do it right. I know you're not going to do it right. And then by the time I explain it to you, I might as well just have done it myself. So we take things on that we could really be delegating to someone else. And as a full adult now, I'm a real grown up now, I have learned how to delegate. I've learned how to let people in to help me when I need help. I've learned that it is not, I'm not a weaker person if I have to ask for help, that people are not always just trying to be in my business because they're saying, hey, are you okay? Can I help you with this? Because back in the day, I'll be like, why are you all in my business? And they may genuinely just be kind of seeing me from the outside, this image that I'm projecting of perfection. They might see through the cracks, like, oh, she look like she about to fall apart. Let me lend her a hand. And I'll be like, I don't need your help. And I just want to ask you, because again, you know, we always having a conversation, right? We're always having a conversation. If you shall, if you are brave enough, if you dare to take the challenge, please let me know I'm not alone in the comments. Let me know, like, yes, girl. I was definitely a perfection performer. That was me. Let me know. Be honest. You don't have to tell the whole story, but just give us a little hint. Give us a little hint. I truly believe that we as women, when we share in a real way, of course, there are always going to be people who got something to say, who are negative. But what I am finding over the last 6 or 7 years, that there are more women that it seems to be, when you share in a very real and authentic way, that are compassionate, that understand, and that relate. Even on Instagram, and I'm not even on Instagram that much anymore. Like I used to be on Instagram. But I've noticed, like, even if, you know, women are like commenting or sharing things on Instagram, how you have one or two on there that's got to say something negative. That's got to be all, you know how they are. But then if you notice, you'll see a lot more comments. The percentage is much higher for women who are giving like positivity out, who are saying encouraging things, who are not being mean and hateful and destructive in the comments. And if people so choose to comment in the comment section of the podcast, that's the kind of environment I want to create for us. I want it to be encouraging. I want it to be uplifting. If you decide to put something personal in there, I want somebody to say, "Oh girl, I get it. I'm gonna pray for you." Or, "Oh girl, I went through the same thing. This is what I did." Because that is how we are going to make it. And I know that these celebrities and influencers and whatever they name themselves nowadays, they will put their best selves forward for social media or for the news outlets or this, that, and the other. And people really do begin to look up to these people. But I promise you, you don't know what is really going on in their lives. You just don't know. And I always say there is nothing wrong with, I don't even like to say following people because I ain't following nobody but Christ. Well, I'm following my husband because he's the head. So I'm following two people. I'm following Christ and I'm following my husband. Christ is the head of my life. My husband is the head of my household. That's the only two people I'm following. I ain't following nobody else. But I don't think there's anything wrong with if you are connected with someone on a page and you're like, oh, that's great for them, or oh, that what they shared was encouraging. But don't put people on a pedestal. Don't put them on a pedestal, because what tends to happen is they will sure enough let you down. You'll be thinking they was something that they weren't. And then when they fall, you'll be all mad. You'll be like, I can't believe. And they said, and they was living a lie. When I think about myself in hindsight, I mean, maybe I would have been an influencer if I was 20. If Instagram was around back then, maybe I would have got into that. Who knows? I don't know. But I know what I would have presented to you guys when I was in my 20s and early 30s would not have been the whole truth. It would have been a partial truth, because I wouldn't have been able to be transparent enough to let you know that sometimes, yes, I do break down and have to be like, I ain't gonna make it today. And then got to pull myself together. I remember one time when I first moved to North Carolina, we moved into an apartment because we were like, okay, we don't know if we're gonna really like it. We don't know if we want to, stay. So we rented an apartment for like a year. And after the first, like maybe year and a half, we was like, okay, we're gonna stay. We do like it. So then we started looking to buy something. Well, when we first moved here, this was kind of in my beginning epiphany stage. I literally remember, because I just wasn't a crier like that. I remember like sitting in my little, walk-in closet, sitting in the floor and just like bawling my eyes out, like just seriously, like, and I think I had cried so hard because I just wasn't used to crying. I cried when both my grandparents, passed away, my both my grandfathers, because at this time, in my 30s, my maternal grandmother was still alive, who I was quite close to, and I was very close to both of my grandfathers. So when my grandfathers passed, I sure enough cried, like I cried like a baby. And when my dad's dad passed, I was 30, and I just was like, it's all over. I fell apart. But other than that, I didn't really cry. I wasn't a crybaby like that. And I don't know, I can't even tell you what triggered it, or if anything triggered it, or if I was just so tired of trying to hold everything all together that I just didn't one day, for whatever reason, whatever happened that day. I remember it because my oldest daughter she opened my closet door and she was like, Mom, are you okay? What happened? And I was like, DR, I'm okay. Like, I'm fine. I'm okay. And then that was kind of the first time, like, I really was like honest with my daughter. After a minute, I was like, girl, I am not okay. Your mom is about to fall apart. Like, it is not well with my soul. And I think that was kind of the threshold that my oldest daughter and I crossed, where our mother-daughter relationship started to somewhat become still mother-daughter, but a little bit of a friendship added as well, because at that time she was like 17. So I was able to like confide in her a little bit, just a little bit, because some of my stuff was grown up stuff she didn't need to know about. But I was able to like start being like, all right, like I gotta cut this out. I gotta cut this out. And that was the beginning of my process, in the 30s. And by then I was like mid 30s. You know, y'all need a new filler word. What I want to express to you today. What I want to express to you today, y'all, get out of performance mode and know that you will never be perfect and that it's okay. All right, y'all. We at the 20-minute mark. Y'all know I'll be trying to keep it under 20 minutes. I still start saying 22 because I usually land about 22 minutes. Again, everything I share is food for thought in hopes that it is going to enhance your life in some shape, form. Even if it's just one thing I share that may help you, then it is totally worth me plugging in and getting my microphone ready and sharing a thought if it will help you. I promise you, I love you guys. I don't know you, but if you are out here and you are listening to this and you are a woman, I love you and I want the very best that God has for you. So again, I always have my little takeaway. And my takeaway for you today is to be okay with being your true, authentic self. Seek God if you're unsure or unclear of who that self is. Some of us struggle with even knowing who we are and what we're supposed to be doing in the various seasons of our lives. And if that is you, get in your word, get on your knees, and seek the Father so that you can find out who He has destined you to be, understanding that you don't have to be perfect and you will never be perfect. But guess what? We are perfected through Christ. We are perfected through Him, through His work. So His grace and His mercy covers all of our shortcomings. And that is where you will find your perfection is hidden you and all your shortcomings, hidden right in the inside of Christ. So dwell in Him, let Him dwell in you. Live your best God life, your best God life, your best Christ life. Live that. And that will keep you out of the pitfall or out of the pit of perfection and performance. All right, you guys, I hope you have enjoyed the episode today. And y'all know what I'm about to say. This is Camille and more. And that's all I got. Thanks for joining the journey today. Connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn. And remember to join me the first Saturday of each month for a live coffee and chat on my YouTube channel.